What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode. Yeah, guys, today's gonna be a little different. I'm just it's just my voice here today. The reason for that is because I don't want to do all the extra work. This is definitely just gonna be a voice video of Brian Renfro speaking before the tentative agreement came out. Okay, so I found this clip. It just came to me, honestly, and I just listened for 30 minutes, and it's kind of interesting. So what he does is speak about the ineffectiveness of holding rallies for a union that can't strike. Okay, and then he speaks about, in a nutshell, why the NALC bargains in darkness. It's a whole bunch of word salad, but it kind of shows you the mindset that Renfro had going into the whole situation. And the effectiveness of rallying is effective. Okay, whatever this man says, he's freaking delusional. I say that because if you guys look what happened after the rallies on the 16th and the 17th of October, then our contract came out. I think it was the 18th, a couple days after the guys and girls started making some noise. So it's just interesting that the mindset that this gentleman has is that the rallies are useless and pointless, and have faith in me and my cronies, and I will get you guys the best contract possible. Anyway, guys, if you guys have a couple minutes and you want to listen, it's quite interesting. All right. Until next time, I'll be here. You'll be there. Peace.
So here's the big question. Why do we negotiate in private?
Yeah, it really has to do with our process. So I think if you look, and those of you that are listening that pay attention, maybe to the larger labor movement and, other unions that are out there, often their negotiations are very public, and they have, large campaigns where, they hold rallies and all those sorts of things. And typically that is effective for a union in the private sector that has the ability to strike, because it raises the profile. They're able to educate people on what that strike could mean, and therefore that puts pressure back on the employer to come to the table with what they want to bargain. In our world of collective bargaining, it's much different. Number one, we cannot strike. That's illegal for us to do that. That's also in our collective bargaining agreement that we will not strike. And number two, if we were to do that, it doesn't influence the Postal Service in any way. And, the fact that a public, type campaign without the ability to strike, really the only thing that does is get information out there, calls people to express opinions that, frankly, the only positive that could have, actually there's no positive that could have in terms of our negotiation. The only impact that could have would be a negative impact to cloud, the discussions that we're having. And it's really important, and I say this is my fourth time, my first time as president, obviously leading collective bargaining, but my fourth time doing it. Twice I served as the chief spokesperson, with the Postal Service. And, one time we got an award through interest arbitration. 3 times we negotiated an award. One of those was when we essentially finished our interest arbitration proceeding. So I've had a lot of experience doing this. An important part of it for us is for our conversations and our negotiations with our counterparts at the Postal Service and vice versa, for us to be able to be very open, very honest, and talk about, things in almost sometimes in an informal setting. So, that when you add outside noise, so to speak, it tends to have what we call a cooling effect, where one side or the other gets into a place where they may not be as comfortable talking about a particular topic. So, the more open our discussions with them can be, in my experience, the better opportunity we have. And I think they feel the same way, to eventually reach an agreement. So, as I tell our members, a lot of places where we go, and there are certainly things I talk about, and our goals here, as we've talked a little bit about on this podcast, are no secret. I think people know, what we are trying to achieve, at least generally speaking. And I would love to tell every one of our members every single thing that happens, but the fact of the matter is that can only, while people want to hear that, and I totally understand that, the only way it can impact what we are actually doing and ultimately we're able to achieve is in a negative way. And, my responsibility, as well as the rest of our officers and staff here at headquarters that are involved in this process, is for us to do everything that we can to achieve the best agreement that we possibly can for letter carriers. And everything that we do as it relates to this process and everything that we say or don't say is geared towards that goal. And I am very confident in what we are doing. I'm confident in the progress that we've made so far. I'm confident in our people here that are involved. I'm confident in the people that we deal with at the Postal Service that we will be in a position, hopefully to reach an agreement. And in the event that we can, as I mentioned earlier, we are ready to go in interest arbitration. I feel great about the case that we could potentially put on, including the folks that we have involved, from our attorneys to expert witnesses and professionals that we hire from outside to letter carriers that we've prepared to testify should that become necessary. Everyone has, done a great job here. And one thing, for the second largest single bargaining unit that's under one collective bargaining agreement in America, so this collective bargaining agreement has a huge impact on our members, has a huge impact on the Postal Service. So it's a very, serious process, and they're really big decisions to make in these negotiations, regardless of which side of the table you're on. But back to the original question, doing it quietly and in private just allows us to have the most open conversations and negotiations that we have. And just the way our bargaining is structured as a result of a lot of the things we've talked about, the history, what's in the law now, puts us in a place where outside noise, so to speak, doesn't improve our process in any way. It can only harm it. So, as we will certainly update our members, just like we have so far, as we move to different steps in the process. And, when we get to the point of, if we get to the point of interest arbitration, that'll be something that there'll be a little more detail about it than just our normal negotiating discussions. But just to be clear, we as long as we believe we've got an opportunity to reach an agreement that will reward our members and is fair to our members, we will remain at the table and negotiate. And I can tell you the Postal Service is committed to the same thing and has the belief, as well as we do, that we can reach agreement. So we're optimistic about that.